Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and some breaking news in the rugby world as the Pro 14 has announced a new competition in the Rainbow Cup, which will see the inclusion of the Lions, Stormers, Bulls and Sharks from South Africa alongside the 12 usual Pro 14 European sides, all from Ireland, Italy, Scotland and Wales. And it's a very interesting competition, and look, it's pretty much a precursor for what will become eventually the Pro 16. So it kind of looks like this is basically the trial tournament while they sort of work out the kinks and the calendar year of how the Pro 16 is going to work. But obviously, because of the various scheduling issues, they have had to sort of rework it, relook at the calendar and try and slot in a big competition with all what will be 16 teams within next year. So before we break down the tournament itself, please do subscribe to the channel. Bottom right hand corner there, smash a like on the video as well. Jump in the comments, let me know what you think of the tournament. But the Rainbow Cup, as it has been called, will kick off on the 17th of April with the Pro 14 finishing on the 27th of March. So it's not a particularly long turnaround for the Pro 14 or the current Pro 14 clubs, which is the little bit of sort of the doubt there. In terms of the amount of workload on some of the elite players. You think of the sort of Welsh international players, Ireland international players, all the sort of players who are playing in a lot of different competitions all around there in the wake of the British and Irish Lions tour. But for South African players, it is absolutely perfect because the Rainbow Cup will kick off on the 17th of April and will conclude with a final on the 19th of June. So it is all packed in before the British and Irish Lions series, which means that all the Springboks based in South Africa will have a proper European, very competitive tournament to sort of get themselves up to playing their best rugby ahead of the British and Irish Lions tour. Personally, as a South African fan and as a Lions fan, I think that this is what South African rugby has needed for a long time. We've needed to go north. We've all known it. Whilst there's a lot of sentiment in terms of staying Super Rugby, playing against some of the New Zealand sides, the money is up north. And if we want to keep our best players, if we want to start harnessing and harvesting the ridiculous amount of talent within South Africa, we need to get more money into our unions so that we can keep hold of our best players. We need to have, although World Cup winning squad, we need to have 75 to 80% of those players playing within South Africa. That's what we want to see. The South African public needs to be able to go and watch their favorite players week in, week out, and not have to wait for Springboks where 12 players are coming from overseas to fill our national side. And the only way it's going to get that is if we bring the money that we can start matching some of the contracts that these players are earning overseas. So this is a very big step towards that goal, and it's not going to be a complete solution. We're not going to suddenly, our unions are not going to suddenly be able to bring in massively big contracts and sign some of the best players in the world, but it does mean that we can prevent the sort of rugby brain drain as more and more talented youngsters get sort of snapped up at early ages because of foreign currency and because they can pay their players more. So this is a big step in South African rugby, and I'm very excited because I think just the Super Rugby just got stagnant. Every year it's the same thing, and you kind of stop looking forward to it. It's almost like, oh, okay, cool, we've got Super Rugby. Oh, okay, cool, we've got the Currie Cup. Whereas now, hopefully, we can move towards something which is a bit more exciting. We're going to see players from different countries. We're going to see different players, different styles of rugby, and different conditions. European rugby is known to be a lot more physical, a lot tougher, sort of a lot more brutal than the Super Rugby, which in many ways has a lot more flair, a lot more sort of creative rugby. So it's a very different type of rugby, and it's very useful because when you think that there are so many nations from Europe, especially in the World Cup, and when you go and tour there every year and stuff like that, it's very nice to have that sort of exposure and playing in those conditions. So I think it's a win-win all around. You think of time zones. There's no longer getting up at 8, 7 in the morning to watch your team play. All the times are going to be sort of late afternoon on Saturdays or in the evening on Friday. So it makes watching the entire competition and consuming the competition a lot easier as well. So, Joey, the CEO of SA Rugby, said the inclusion of South Africa's super teams in the Rainbow Cup is a step in the new direction for us. He said, after so much turmoil and uncertainty in 2020, the prospect of a return to top-flight international domestic competition is one to which we can all look forward with real excitement. He said the timing of the Rainbow Cup is perfect. Rusty Erasmus, obviously director of rugby, said the timing of the Rainbow Cup is perfect. He said it will finally get our super teams back into international competition after a year's absence and comes at the ideal time as preparation for the tour by the British and Irish Lions. It'll be a step up from domestic competition, no doubt about that, and remind our players of the different type of rugby they can expect when the Lions are here. Our players will be facing many of the players that will be in Warren or Gatland's squad, and it'll be very interesting to see how our players adapt to the challenge. So from a South African side, it's a win-win-win situation. Playing against some different players, playing against the more sort of direct central rugby that we're going to be playing against in the British and Irish Lions. So how it is going to work, you may ask. The 16 teams are going to be divided into 2 pools of 8, made up of 2 Irish, 2 South African, 2 Welsh, 1 Italian, and 1 Scottish club. Each team will play 1 team game against each other in the pools, and the sides that finish the top of their pools will face off in the final on the 9th of June. No semi-finals, no playoffs, nothing. It's just going to be a simple pool of 8, top goes through and plays in the final. So it's pretty much 9 games if you do get to the final. Well, sorry, 8 games if you get to the final. So it's going to be a short and quite a solid tournament. I mean, April through to June. It's going to be a lot of back-to-back action, and I just can't wait, because I think we're going to be able to see a whole different type of rugby. Hopefully, a bit of a reinvigorated competition. And it'll be nice to sort of go and travel and play different, go and play an Italian side, go and play against sides in Wales, and try and get a bit more exposure and sort of try and deepen our horizons, broaden our horizons, and try and play it in different scenarios and different stuff. So I think it is an absolutely fantastic move. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this the right move for South Africa? Or are you going to miss Super Rugby? Where are you in terms of how you're feeling in terms of the competitions that we have decided to move? Let me know in the comments below. We've got 5 things to learn from the Currie Cup last weekend coming up, as well as our pre-test coverage for the Proteas as cricket returns this coming weekend as well. So much content coming up here on 14'S Sports. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you smash like on the video itself, and I will chat to you very, very soon.